Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we are back again with another war video. So this is going to be War 5, and I am yet again, as you guys can see by the Wiccan on my team, on the boss duty. So this is going to be war number 5 in 4 wars so far. I will be fighting Knull. I died once to Knull in my second attempt. First and third attempts against Knull I have soloed, so it's hopefully time to further establish Wiccan's dominance against that meatbag. And on top of that, I do have Magneto House of X and basically Archangel to just fly my way through to the boss fight. I do not have any fights in section 2, but I do have the joint fight in section 1, and as well as something on a mini boss island, which is actually going to be a bit dodgy there. So let's get to it. In section 1, I am on the new path 2. I actually had to do these fights quite late last night because of the last minute schedule problems, stuff like that. So it's definitely fighting outside of my comfort time, so to speak. So there will perhaps be some slight errors, stuff like that, because it was, I believe, past 11, close to midnight when I was doing these fights, and I'm definitely not used to doing fights that late. I can always see a noticeable difference in my playing quality when it gets quite late and when I get tired. But we're running Archangel, so I thought how bad it can be. It's parry heavy. Obviously, missing parries have been a fairly trendy subject these days, but hopefully everything goes fine. So here against Green Goblin, he is Conduit Defender, but obviously as soon as I get in that Neurotoxin, it doesn't matter, because he can't regen. He does have class advantage, but again, I do have a rank 4 Archangel, and as you can see, he's doing his job very well here. We had 6 Neuros at one point, and this entire fight lasts 24 seconds. And now we're going to move up to fight against Rintra. Now Rintra is going to be a bit chunkier opponent to deal with, but again, combat deja vu, placebo, nullify countdown, all that other stuff. But the important thing is that Archangel's immune to neutralize. So he's kind of like a perfect option for Rintra fights, because you do not need to worry about your buffs failing, so that whole placebo node also can be switched off with your Neuros. The only thing that you do need to pay attention is not to let Rintra get 3 bars of power. Here, I did not have the greatest start, as you guys could see, because I did trigger Dex at start, which, fed the Mystic Dispersion, and now I trigger Dex yet again, and I definitely do need to bait out a special attack right now from Rintra, because his health bar is like 2.5, well, his power bar is getting up there. But then I just take that level 2 on a block, drop some more heavies, and everything's good, everything's chill. I had not placed Indestructible 3 boost for these fights, because I kind of knew that I'm going to need them later on. So next fight here is Sasquatch. We have Strike, Counter, Fury, Sloped Armor, Masochism over time. No big deal. Archangel should be able to absolutely run through this thing. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to put on, again, House of X pre-fight, just to give Archangel that extra attack passive stance that he cannot shrug off with Masochism over time. And here we go. Archangel against Cersei, and it obviously, again, is just a bit of a slaughter fight. Here again, I do make the same kind of like little mistake at the beginning, where I do trigger Dex at the start, and that unfortunately speeds Mystic Dispersion, which is something that I'm not happy about. But then I just decided that I'm just gonna go in for my heavies, and as soon as I'm gonna get in some Neuros, obviously everything is gonna be pretty much perfect. So there I drop a special attack in order to, for now, stop him from gaining those Fury effects, because I didn't have that many Neuros active. Here I need to bait out level 2 before he gets 3 bars of power, punish that level 2 with a heavy attack, and everything's working fine. We're shutting off all the nodes, basically. He's not gaining any more Furies, even though I'm just really spamming heavy attacks here. And I do think here at the end, he's also going to enter his Wrath of Tanorak, but it doesn't really matter, because he does have 5 bleeds, 3 poisons, and a couple of Neuros, and they just tick him down like nobody's business. Then I got asked, because we were in a bit of a rush to clear up a person who will be unavailable basically for the remainder of the war, that I got asked to help with energy on path 1 in section 2. And now there is this dodgy fight. Now there is this dodgy fight that I'm going to be taking up against Cersei. Now this fight is a bit scary. So it does have combat deja vu prowess, which, you know, is fine. Then we have prowess puncture, okay, but we also have conflictor, and she's a conduit defender. And obviously you still need to work around Cersei's glancing. This is actually a very tough placement where we're thinking of good counters for this fight, and there are not that many great counters for this fight, especially since Cersei is a conduit champion. So you can see that in just a second how that fight is going to look. I will make a slight mistake, but this was definitely the scariest of all of the fights, because I do need to work around conflictor, I do need to work around glancing. She's going to be gaining extra power. I do need to be baiting out special attacks, and yeah, it can get quite rough. So here we see that I drop a heavy attack, and I only would have gotten 1 bleed, which is basically purified by conflictor. Then I drop a second heavy attack, and I get 1 bleed, but she triggers glancing, so now I need to basically bait out the special attack, wait for the glancing to be gone, and basically try again, because here, as we can see, I didn't trigger any poisons, so that doesn't give me any advantage. So here again, she drops heavy, I punish that, I go into my level 1 to get some poisons on, and I do have 5 bleeds, 3 poisons. I'm in a perfect situation to get some neuros on, but I do eat last 2 hits of that, and I triggered glancing again, and I didn't get a single neuro on, and, you know, time's ticking, and I do need to be patient here. I do need to wait out till the glancing expires, as I do. And then finally I get my first neuro in. That is going to at least somewhat decrease her chance to trigger that glancing again. And conflictor, I get 3 neuros now, but I do need to bait out a level 2, because otherwise, you know, I'm going to be in quite a tough spot. And I still do decide, again, dropping my heavy attack. I still have 2 neuros on her, but again, it is definitely not going easy. She does have her protection active there. And I just threw this heavy attack in order to get some space, because I was starting to feel smothered. And here I go for my level 1. I do get 1 neuro, thankfully, with this level 1. And I think somewhere at this point I just decided, I did the math in my head, and at this point I decided I'm going to push her into 3 bars of power and try and get out of this fight as soon as possible, because the longer it goes, you know, the bigger statistical chance I have for error. And I do have 1 hit left on my indestructible 3 boost. So that is exactly what I decided to do. I drop my level 1, which puts her at 7 bleeds, 4 neuros, and she's basically ticking out. But I knew that there's going to be a risk that I eat that level 3. But yeah, I was also quite confident that I do have 1 hit on indestructible 3 left over. And if I look back, I probably would have tried to play this fight more aggressive as soon as I got my first neuros on, and just push her to to level 3 on purpose, and then try to get out of that fight as quickly as possible. It is definitely quite finicky fight, as I said, that I don't think there are that many great counters to that Cersei fight. And that Cersei fight was like pretty much the entire reason why I was being rushed through last night to get her down, because the person who has to take that Mephisto will be basically unable to fight for rest of the war. And with that, now we can go to the next day. This is already when we have cleared majority of the map. We do have a couple of people waiting for the boss to go down for their fights to be easier. We can see that Magneto's guidance has already been placed for me, and it is going to be a rematch with that Knull boss. So I'm going to boost up again. Don't particularly mind there. You know, I have plenty of boosts such as they are. I do not have the big attack and health boost, but I'm boosting basically as big as I can at this point. I do have that guidance. And this fight I'm also not going to use Mystic Power Boost, because I realized that in majority of the fights here when I'm using Wiccan, I just like to spam the level 1 more so than anything. I know that you can go for level 2s and it potentially can let your fight finish out a bit quicker, but I kind of feel more confident and comfortable when I use my level 1s. I am going to use Indestructible 3 because better safe than sorry, and you do not want to mess up the death count for the Alliance and for the battle group. Yeah, this first initial bit is kind of like the riskiest and trickiest, where you do need to trigger your resistance up at the start of the fight in order for like the rest of the fight to kind of proceed. There's also one important thing that I do want to talk about, and that is a very, very nasty bug that's going around about Wiccan now after the latest hotfix update. And that bug is where if you dash back and trigger your resistance up, and then if you use a level 1 basically straight afterwards and trigger additional resistances with your level 1, which is often a perfectly reasonable, legitimate strategy thing to do. For whatever reason, Wiccan just stops being able to activate resistance spells for rest of the fight, and then you just get smacked in the face. I've seen some forum threads about it, I had teammates message me about it. So now on top of everything else in this boss fight, whenever I trigger the resistance spell, I also need to make sure that I do a full hit combo and finish with a light or a medium before I'm basically allowed to throw my level 1. If I trigger resistance up and throw a level 1 immediately, I'm kind of screwed. So that's like additional fun thing to keep in mind throughout this fight. I hope they fix that bug as soon as I can, but the damage definitely has already been done to several Masters Alliances who have gotten, you know, KO'd because of it. But the entire point of this fight is basically just keep an eye on your resistance spell. Make sure that you always have that one active in order to be able to block. You can bait out whichever special attack you want. I, again, personally kind of prefer to spam level 1s to get a bit of that regen going and just, you know, be able to pause my spells for longer times. I know that you can go for level 2 and then every time you finish with a medium, you're going to get to convert one of your incinerates into a plasma, and that will pause your spells as well. But I, again, just feel kind of more comfortable playing with the level 1 here. Again, finish combo with the light. Gonna bait out at level 2. As soon as you bait out at level 2, I should be able to get some more incinerates on him, because he tries to place 10 armor breaks, and Wiccan is immune to that, and those basically kind of get thrown back as an incinerates. So there I had a bit of trouble baiting out at level 2, which I finally did, and now he has 10 incinerates on him as well. Also paused, bait out heavy attack, activate that neutralize, everything's fine. Here I'm just gonna go for another resistance up spell trigger, and here we can see that he has like 11 incinerates, 4 passive incinerates, and drop level 1, and he's basically getting down and dead there. So this was actually very kind of like a smooth fight. 1 minute and 40 seconds, 63 hits, didn't get hit once, and yeah, this was like a nice clear. So now against Knull bosses, I am 3-1. I have fought 4 Knull bosses, soloed 3 of them, died to 1 of them once, and then finished it off. So not too bad. That is also my only death so far in the season, which hopefully will stay that way. But I'm, you know, when you die to the boss, it doesn't quite hit as hard as if you died to like some casual path fight or something like that. So I'm quite okay with that as well. And yeah, here we are. So New Nation had a great war yet again. And we finished with 2 deaths. It's not quite as good as we did our previous war, which is 1 death. But if we can keep this up, then we are looking at a very, very strong season. X5E, again, is obviously a very strong alliance. They did not have the best war. But I must say that I'm very, very proud of our Bal group so far this season. So far, in 5 wars, our Bal group has died twice. One of those deaths is me on a boss fight, and I think the other death is Finn, if I'm not mistaken. Think so, I'm not sure. But yeah, we have only had 2 deaths in 5 wars, and that's very cool. I believe this is like 3rd donut that we get so far out of 5 wars, yeah, and that's quite awesome. So BG3 definitely is functioning very, very well so far this season. So hopefully we are able to maintain the same kind of like level throughout the remaining 7 wars. Let me know how your war seasons are going, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about